reference material and also researching fan sites, the VFX team analysed what they needed Carnage to do in the film, and from there began to design how he would look, how he would move, and perhaps more importantly, why he would look and move that way. Carnage is different to Venom. Carnage is Venom's offspring, a darker and more violent version of Venom whose bond with his host isn't one of mutual benefit like Venom and Brock's symbolic one, but it's self-serving and destructive. For the way that Carnage propagates and increases his biomass, the team decided that his symbolic nature would make him want to imitate the structures around him, and so they decided to research the Lindenmayer systems. Lindenmayer systems, or L systems, are a mathematical logic system for describing the growth of simple molecular organisms. You can use L systems in architecture. By encoding a simple set of rules applied repetitively, you can create complex geometric structures from organic forms. You can see this technique best in the final cathedral sequence. Although a priori Venom may seem unchanged from the first film, he has actually undergone various changes and improvements. His muscle system is completely different from the first film. It now uses a 3-layer soft tissue simulation: muscle, fat, and skin. Venom's shoulders are slightly smaller and his head slightly larger. His facial rigging has also changed to allow for a more vocal role and to help capture some of the subtle nuances of Tom Hardy's vocal performance. You may have noticed that Venom's voice is different in this film too. Tom Hardy works by first rehearsing a scene, and then he goes off to a quiet area and records audio of himself acting out Venom's part. Then a sound guy plays that audio back to Hardy through an earpiece in his ear. This method allows Hardy to play off himself, interrupt Venom, or have the sound guy make Venom interrupt him. This led to a more natural performance, which both the sound team and the rigging and animation teams wanted to maintain. Another improvement made was in the area of cloth simulations. When Venom or his tentacles emerged from Eddie Brock's body, the areas that could sell or break the shot were the points where Eddie's clothing meets Venom. These 2 points couldn't just look like Venom was stuck onto Eddie. It had to look like Venom was emerging from Eddie. This process had to be photoreal and carried out over multiple costume variants. The hardest thing was the toweling material of Eddie's dressing gown, which they found to be tremendously difficult to recreate digitally. In the end, they created a hair sim over 5 million follicles, each one replicating the tiny fabrics of the toweling material. The final fight sequence in San Francisco's Grace Cathedral was the hardest and most time-consuming, and in fact is responsible for nearly half of the film's VFX shots. The team surveyed San Francisco's Grace Cathedral and built an almost exact digital replica except for the main spire, which they made taller, and the scaffolding inside and out was covered in plastic, which ended up being a challenge for the shading and rendering team. The exterior had to be extended and matched to the live-action plates from the set in Leavesden, including fog, moving traffic, street furniture, and the city beyond. On top of this, there were multiple transformations, a lot of dialogue, a large amount of full CG shots, set extensions on almost every plate, and some of the destruction in virtually every shot. Pews are smashed, plastic is ripped, pillars are broken, scaffold collapses, and at one point there's a massive hole in the roof. All of this destruction had to be simulated, and then each stage of it had to be carefully positioned along the timeline of the sequence to ensure destructive continuity throughout the scene. Framestore was given the task of creating the stylized storybook scene of the correspondence between Cletus and Brock. The idea was to give the scene a childlike quality, attempting to express the story from the point of view of a naive and very disturbed child. They tested different pencils and inks on different paper, comparing textures and searching for a style that fit both the narrative of the film and portrayed this sense of juvenile naivety and malicious violence. Ink splats were added to give the sensation of grime, and the drawings made to look as if they had been stained with blood, thus adding the sensation of violence. Staging and timing were as important as medium and style. They wanted a staggered look, kind of like a flipbook animation. When the animation felt too smooth, they pulled out frames, making the story jump and trip and giving the scene a disjointed and erratic feeling. Please give us a like if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget the links to the music used in this video are in the video description, and as always, be sure to let us know in the comment section which movie VFX you'd